Thank you to the Danish Embassy for getting us together here today on this incredible topic. I'm here to nurture a revolution. There's no doubt. And as you could see in the movie, it's 2 years old now? And there is a revolution going around the world right now. In our native country, Denmark, there's a lot going on. But Denmark, of course, is a smaller country, so we won't have the same footprint as some of the others. You heard about the laws in France and Italy, which are simply making it illegal to waste food. America has the Good Samaritan law that protects you if you give food. We're working with the Thai government to get the same here. It's essential that we get rid of this food waste. So why are we attacking it in Asia? Mainly because more people are coming out of poverty into middle class in Southeast Asia than anywhere else in the world. 2 days ago, there was a survey coming out and showing China has, in 10 years, taken 800 million people from poverty to middle class. It's amazing. And every one of these people will want a car and a refrigerator, but they will also start buying food and throwing it away like everybody else. And if we can somehow capture all that food waste and get it in a cycle to the people who haven't yet transitioned into middle class, there is a big job to be done here in Asia. So we are creating a movement, and you can say the word please in many different ways, right? Please, please, please. There's different ways to say it, but we spell it PLS. And we do that because that's what we do it for. The P stands for people. The people who can get this food. If you've seen some of our recipients, it's amazing how these people can appreciate the food that can come out of five-star hotels and supermarkets and so on. And L stands for the land, because this is good for the environment, as you saw in the movie. It's 23 times as bad to create methane gases as it is to create CO2. So it's really important not to put food in the landfill. Food should go to people's stomachs, not to the landfill. And the kind of people that we can help, especially across Southeast Asia, some of the people we can help will get their spirits lifted from this. And that is the S. This is actually a Balinese thing that we've adapted, and we believe very much that it's all about PLS, the people, the land, and the spirit. Because it is. It's a mix. It's not just one side or the other. Now, food waste, what is food waste? It's an oxymoron, right? You really don't want to hear the two words together. I mean, I found some food waste and I'm going to put it in your mouth. It doesn't sound so nice. Now, don't sit there and smile, because in a little bit after this presentation, you'll be offered the most delicious rescued food, i.e. food waste. And I'm hoping nobody will hold back. It's going to be absolutely delicious. Now, food waste is a balance. It's a balance between what goes to the landfill. It's also, the other side of the balance is what we can consider edible. So we had to change. In Thailand, we had to change. I don't speak Thai, but I have been told we had to change the vocabulary completely. It was explained to me that it's like, don't use the word food waste. We talk about excess food, surplus food, abundance of food, and so on. But we never use the word food waste in Thai, because then people will not appreciate it. We have to adapt some of the food, because five-star hotel food is not exactly what the local people will want. So we have to think about how to do food waste in the right way. And the word that comes when you talk about waste and loss and so on, the word that comes to mind is optimization. And that's something I know everything about, because I spent my whole career optimizing. But we did it for banks. We optimized cash, mathematically optimized. We saved them millions of dollars. But one day, it became very clear that there's a big job to be done optimizing food for the poor. See, food waste is two sides. One is food loss prevention, which is in the preparation and cooking and so on of food. We have to cut it. It costs money. A hotel, any commercial entity, it costs money. We have to cut it. But there comes a moment where you cannot cut it anymore. I mean, a restaurant, a hotel has to be concerned with the quality, the taste. Everything has to be perfect. So there will be waste, and it is what you do with that waste at that moment that will differentiate you in the future. You've heard all the statistics, and a lot of it was in the movie, right? A third of the food is going to waste in the world. In commercial entities that are concerned with quality, it's more like 40% plus. The PATA study that came out last year showed an immense amount of food in the hospitality industry being wasted. We've also heard the statistics that food is, if food was a country, food waste was a country, it would be the third country as far as greenhouse gas emissions. After China and America, food waste would be the biggest third country. It's amazing. Number 2, that's Indonesia. Number 2, as far as food wasting country in the world, Indonesia, right behind Saudi Arabia. But Indonesia, I mean, this is not a rich country. Indonesia has malnutrition in villages, stunting that takes 6 generations to get rid of after you fix the nutrition. So all this malnutrition has a huge impact. And here in Thailand, 64% of all the food that goes to the landfill, or all the waste that goes to the landfill, is food waste. If you haven't seen it on the internet, or the movies from landfills in Thailand, or you've been to one of them, it's amazing to see. Because it is, as last year, 27 billion tons of waste. And 64% of that is food waste. It's just amazing. We have got to stop this madness. And we cannot stop the traffic in Bangkok or Jakarta. We cannot stop airplanes from flying. But the gas house, the emission of green gases, we can't deal with that. But we can deal with food waste. And food waste, as the UN has pointed out, is 8% of all greenhouse gases in the world. And we can just stop it. Stop it overnight. It's easy. So that's what we're going to do. Now, of all these statistics, if you only remember one thing from what I'm saying tonight, it is 10, 7, 1. Remember those numbers, okay? 10, 7, 1. 7 is the amount of people on this earth, right? 7 billion. I know, we're 7.7, so it really should be 10, 8, 1. But anyway, we'll stick with the 7. 7 billion people on this globe. 10 is the amount of food that our food industry produces. 10 billion people's worth of food. That's fantastic, isn't it? So we have 3 billion extra. We have so much food. We can all share it, no problem. But we're not, because 1 billion of us goes to bed hungry every night. Therefore, we have a distribution problem. And what you see in the movie, spot on, it is about a distribution issue here. We need to have the nutrition spread in a different way. And it's not just the 1 billion that goes to bed hungry every night. We also have 1 billion of us that are obese. 2 different sides of the same coin, right? So I often hear people advocating that we should have free internet for everybody. Free internet for everyone. And I love it. I absolutely think that's a great idea. But should we maybe arrange something with nutrition for everybody first? Not necessarily free, but access to nutrition for most people. And that's where I had an aha moment. We all have these aha moments, right? But I was sitting in a very large hotel here in Bangkok in 8 years ago. And, well, it was happy hour in the lounge. Ching, ching. And when I went up there to the food, incredible spread. And a typical 5-star hotel. And 7 o'clock, it was over. 7:05, the waiters came, took it all away. And I went up. It was like 95% of the food that had been put out was now gone. So I went up to the butler and I said, this food, do you get to take it home? And the lady said, no, of course not. If we took it home, we would cook more. And we would waste more, so management would never allow that. Well, then what happens to it? It goes straight into the trash. You mean the trash, the container that I can see through the window here in the parking lot? Yes. Yeah, but I can see behind the container, there's a wall, and behind the wall there are some people that probably could do with some of that food. They look like they could really use it. So don't they crawl over the wall? No, sir, of course not. We have guards with guns. Right? And that's when it all, like, oh my God, right? So, having been in logistics systems all my life, it was like, this is the obvious thing, right? Can I go to the chef and say, can I take your food 300 meters down the street and give it to those people? No, because it could be traced back, it could be lawsuits, it could be whatever, right? It had to be professionally lifted out of that system and into another system where we have food hygienists inspecting it and making sure it's delivered on a timely manner while it's still good. But it is still good. It would have gone to the landfill. It is going to the landfill in many places still. And we just had to do something. Separate logistics systems, right? And it's just applying professional management techniques to it, and then it's done, right? When you're trying to change the world, there will always be obstacles. And here, there are 3 obstacles. You will always meet the same 3 obstacles when you talk to people about food rescue. First one is cost. As long as it's free, it's cheaper to throw it away and have the trash people come and get it. As long as it's more trouble for your staff to deal with it and so on, nobody's going to change. So the first thing is, through society, through policy, through many different ways, we have to change the fact that it is cheaper to throw it away and easier to throw it away to the landfill. The second thing is, we have to make sure food safety is taken care of. Food is a perishable item. And of course there are risks associated with it, but it's known risks. I mean, we know what to do about it. And even cooked food, we know exactly how to deal with it. There are specialists in this field that can make sure that nothing goes wrong. And as we've now done it for 4 years in Thailand, there's nothing going wrong, as long as you know what you're doing. The biggest obstacle to all of this, it's a secret. Nobody likes to be told that they're wasteful. I did it in the banking world for many years. I would do simulations. Hey, you can save $12 million by being a little more smart about what you're doing. But that was the same as criticizing the people who hadn't yet optimized. People don't like to be shown as wasteful. Sometimes we have general managers of hotels telling us that, oh, I'm running 600 room hotels with 5 kilos of food waste a day. Sure, right? So until we educate each other, until we educate everyone that there is this necessary waste, and it cannot be avoided, but it's what you do with it, that's when we will finally break through. And that's what we're working so hard on across Southeast Asia, and I hope you'll all join in that. We need to quantify, we need to show it, we need to have a landslide of activity here. And who should be the active people? Is it the people in the villages and the slums that needs the food? No, of course not. A study came out 2 days ago that shows 1% of the world's population owns more than 50% of the assets, right? Obviously, that would be a good place to start with that 1%. So we need to do that quickly. And in the software industry, we always talked about adopters versus non-adopters, buyers versus dyers. And that's our job. Unfortunately, I'm getting to the age now where I'm probably belonging to the latter group of the dyers, but it's important that we, before we pop off from this earth, we leave this earth in a good place for the young people, and they can then take it and run with it. So a fellow Scandinavian, and now the Time Magazine Person of the Year, says it so well, right, Greta? She says, how dare you? How dare you? And it's true for food too. How dare you throw it away? We have an obligation. If it doesn't end up in your stomach, it needs to end up in somebody else's stomach. But it cannot end up in the landfill. It's an obligation. It's a moral obligation. So help us drive this fantastic movement. We are driving towards something called food equity, because food equity is trying to change access to food. Access to food is generally by going to the supermarket or the market and buy food, right? But we need to change that. There is so much food being wasted in this world, it's unbelievable. So we can only so far touch the bottom of the food chain. But in the food industry, and these are good people who, just like the chefs in hotels, sees the waste but cannot do a lot about it, in the food industry we have the same. the growers, the producers, the packagers, the transportation. There's amazing points of dropping. The food falls on the floor, literally. But it is amazing what kind of food is there. If we could get all that food extracted and again put it to the people who have not yet come into middle class and get that cycle established with all that food from all that activity, then we're getting somewhere. Right? And that's what food equity is about, and then we have to remember why we're doing it. Please, 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 PLS, the people, the land, and the spirit. Thanks for listening.